shit happens along the way in life. Through thick and thin, right? Women are the ones leaving relationships anyway at a higher pace. So
yeah, but we discussed this before in the earlier podcast, is that just because women are initiating the divorce does not mean that they were the ones that broke the marriage. You look, I mean, I'm the perfect example,
No, I'm not
right?
saying that
I filed for divorce.
Well, listen,
I wasn't the one that broke the marriage. You filed for divorce. Did you file for divorce, or did your ex-wife file for divorce?
I filed for divorce.
Were you the one that broke the marriage?
No.
Exactly. So just because, again, that statistic is
wait, hold on.
Just your perception is completely off. If a man's bar is low, basically it's like, well, as long as she looks good and she feeds me and fucks me, I love her. Whereas a woman, as long as his basic needs are met, he loves her.
But
that's less love. More love is a woman who actually doesn't.
No, it's not.
Wait, hold on. A woman who wants emotional support, who loves a man more than just for his dick, who loves a man because of what he represents, his moral values, the kind of father he's going to be. A woman who
guys love women for moral values too. Otherwise, we'd be dating only.
No, but you just said that as long as she meets the basic needs, that's how guys fall in love. That's not more love. That's less love. I don't know how you were in your previous relationship, but if somebody comes to you, and when you come to your girl, if you have a situation where it's very emotional for you, maybe a relative passed away, and if you're typically a stoic guy that you don't cry, when you go to your girl and you cry to her, I think for that girl, she probably feels really special. She probably feels really important that you are pouring your heart out. I'm not talking about a guy that cries every day, because he had a bad day at work. But I'm
showing your emotions to women. Dude, I'm telling you, for the most part, the more emotions a man shows, the less attracted a woman is to them.
Okay, so welcome guys to the P.M.S show, and we're here together once again. And tonight it's just Serkan and I, because everyone else is fast asleep in bed, and we're going to discuss some more topics for you guys to consume. And if you guys like the show, please comment, like, and subscribe. Show us your love and support. And all right, Serkan, you are the topic man. What topic are we discussing tonight?
Well, today I want to discuss women empowerment, feminism, and is it the fact that women are now, the society, I guess, is lifting women up, and is that lifting up of women actually also bringing down of the men in our culture? Like, is all these movements affecting young kids, where guys are now not good enough for these women, or that they're faltering because the programs in our country don't support them, and all the sexual freedom that women have, is it also making guys sexualize women more, so that essentially in the long run it's actually affecting women negative, because now you have a bunch of ignorant, animalistic, uneducated men who aren't treating women well. So, I feel like nobody's happy in the dating world. So is women's empowerment actually bad for us?
Well, what do you think? What do you think on the topic? You started off. What's your opinion on it?
So I'm going to get a lot of hate probably for it. Like, I'm going to sound a little misogynistic in some people's eyes, because that seems to be the secret word that everybody likes to use, misogyny. It's I don't hate women. I don't think any straight man hates women. There may be some anger towards women, and people may have resentment from relationships, which again, with some therapy, everybody can get rid of. But to me, okay, so I'm just going to go out there and just say, like, yes, it's great that we're helping women. Yes, we're promoting them in schools and at workplace, in every aspect of our society. But I feel like for some reason, our society, the pendulum never just stays in the middle and like balances out. So I feel like while we're improving women's lives, I think because we're so hyper-focused on women, I feel like the youth of our society, the men, are actually suffering more. For some reason, our society, it'll never stay balanced. I feel like it always swings one way or the other. It's just like the Me Too movement. It went way too far. Like it went to a point where it was just like, you should be scared to even talk to a woman or look her way. You know what I mean? And then you see all these posts on social media on gyms, like women putting their cameras up. Whoa, look at this creep staring at me, and then all of a sudden guys getting shamed. No offense. Me looking at someone is not sexual assault. Like, it's come to a point where you look at a woman the wrong way, it's sexual assault. So you're literally scaring men and making them I mean, not hate, but be terrified of interactions with the opposite sex, which is almost like we're literally trying to make our society gay. I feel like our society has this weird notion that men should be more homosexual. Like, I feel something like, like that, like, like with all the trans movement and all this other stuff, like, it's great. Like, they should all have rights. But now they want us to accept the fact that men should just accept, women in every aspect. So if it's somebody who transitioned or not, like, they want us men to fit this mold so that we're more fluid. And I feel like women are more fluid sexuality wise, but I think men are a little more rigid. And I think society is shifting to a time where they want everybody to be fluid, but men are not men are more rigid in sexuality and just the way they view life and everything else. Women, I feel like, are more I guess they can be more fluid. They could be more malleable. I feel like men are not as malleable, and they're trying to make us malleable, But then we have the red pill, or the conservative side, where now they're calling every guy not man enough, weak, all this other stuff. It feels like there's an attack from every side towards men. From the conservative side, oh, men are not strong enough. From the liberal side, oh, men are, too evil or too misogynistic. So it's like, I feel like our society, the young men, are just confused. They don't know what to be. And that's why I feel like you see so many men not knowing how to deal with their masculinity, or even wanting to deal with society. So they just choose to either, live in their parents' basement or play video games,
So you think a lot of that is due to, you attribute a lot of it, you think, to feminism?
I do. I think our society always swings the opposite pendulum without, like, it's like there'll never be equality, I feel like, because it's like, all right, so men always were the ones in power. So now let's give women so much power and all the power. So as they're giving it, they're forgetting the men that have the power are the older generation men. The younger generation men are now getting nothing comparative to the old guys who've already have everything. You know what I mean? Like the generation before us, you're talking, they already have all the wealth. You know what I mean? They already have the house and the investment property, the summer house, the family, everything. But the young guys who are supposed to be the future, because there's a correction, it's being corrected to a point where it's affecting the younger generation of men to not be able to become men, because everything promotes more females. So, which is good. Let them be successful, but it shouldn't be to the detriment of the other sex.
But why do you think that empowering women is a detriment to men?
Because women who are highly educated or are very successful, again, first of all, we already know of hypergamy. Women always want the top echelon men. So, I mean, if you look at women, so if they're making $200,000, say women used to make way less than men. So to them, on average, a man was making more. So they were okay with a guy making 10 grand, 20 grand more than them, because they're like, oh, this is the norm. Now it's come to a point where, women are way more successful than men, and they refuse to want to date a guy who's not as successful as them. But all the programs are promoting women to be successful in schools and education, everything. You'll have a woman's day, you'll have a this day and that day, but like even men's mental health day is like overlooked. Like anything that has to do with promoting women, like days and special, breast cancer, all the stuff, it's more promoted. Like prostate cancers. I mean, honestly, if somebody was to say, oh, what's the number one cancer in the world? You'd think it's breast cancer, because it's like way more out there than even prostate cancer. You know what I mean? Like they don't discuss men's issues as much. You know what I mean? It's like downplayed. So I think it's like a slight downplay. So they're promoting women, and then because they're promoting them so much, they're forgetting that there's also the other gender that also needs support, especially the youth. You know what I mean? The young kids, because they have to be nurtured. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think growing up, I mean, I always say, the argument I always make is that regardless of, there's always going to be certain discrepancies, and as you said, it is a pendulum, and the pendulum has probably swung too far to the other side. But at the end of the day, it's better to be a man than a woman in this, even now in these modern times, in spite of the progress that feminism has made. Just to touch up on the Me Too movement, for example, I agree with you that it got to a point where it's becoming a little bit too ridiculous, especially with these women that create these videos on the gym, and then if you have a guy just even passing by, it's like, oh look, that guy is looking at me in a creepy way. Yeah, it definitely got too much, but I think overall, the Me Too movement was a net positive. Even given the fact that it swung too far, that's how it always is. It always swings too far to the other side. I mean, you see that with almost every movement, but overall, it was a net positive. I think now in the workplace, men in power have to be more careful in terms of, what they say and what they do. And there has been, that's a fact. There has been a history of men in power abusing it for their gain, for their benefit, and basically taking advantage of women in the workplace. And so to me, that's a net positive. What I always throw back is, if you had a daughter, would you want your daughter to be in the same environment in the 60s and 70s where women were just entering the workplace and it was still mostly dominated by men? And for me, based on what I've read and the things I've seen, and even shows that I forget the one show, Mad Men, and a lot of people say, like, yeah, that was a fairly accurate show in regards to what the environment was like for women. Like, the workplace is a much better place now for women than it is for men. And I do agree that it is. I will say that because women being in the workplace has only happened within the last 50, 60 years, this is still something that we as a society, we as a culture have to still kind of navigate and figure out what are the rights and wrongs and how men and women need to interact with each other. And so it's still relatively new. And so things are going to end up happening that are going to be too far to the other side.
Well, wait a couple of years. It's going to be Crazy Women is going to be the new TV show, and it's going to be about women in power and how they abuse men.
Yeah,
because
mad women, mad women.
To me, men and women. I think people who want power are gonna always be aggressive and be evil. Like, I think the people who choose to be in very powerful positions, I don't think it matters if it's men or women. I think they will abuse either the same gender or the opposite gender. I don't think it matters that men were in power, because they're almost trying to make it seem like, oh, men in power are evil, women in power are going to be so much better. Like, I don't believe that. I think people who have too much power, I think eventually it gets to their head, and I think the sick people are the ones who, rule the world. I truly believe that, because I feel like people who are good are not going to take that extra step to be on top. I mean, I don't want to get into politics, but I mean, if you look at any of the politicians, I mean, they're all, so full of themselves, they're at another level, they're not normal you and me, like, I don't even know if we could make it in politics. You have to be ruthless, Yeah.
Well, in terms of women, succeeding more, I mean, this is something that's relatively new. It's only been within the last 100 years that women were really pushed towards education. And one of the stereotypes about women was that, if women were put in the same field as men, they're not going to be able to compete, that they're not as smart as men, they're not as good as men. Now we're seeing that in a society where you tell women, hey, you can do whatever you want to do. You can pursue whatever you want to pursue. And now we're seeing that women are graduating college more. More women are getting into college, and more women are graduating college. And so I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. If anything, I think that should be the onus is on men to respond to that and to say, like, no, we need to be competitive as well. We need to get out there and get into college and graduate college. I don't think the onus is on women to, not to not go to college, or for us to regress and somehow put women down. I think it's a matter of putting everybody up. I think it's a matter
I don't think we're putting women down. We're not trying to put women down. I'm just trying to say the programs in our society are only focused on, or are mainly focused on women and girls, little girls. They're not focused on little boys. They think that boys are already starting with an advantage, but they don't realize, boys are not starting with an advantage. And especially nowadays, I feel like boys are at a disadvantage compared to women. It's like, they want boys to be emotional, but parents, I think, still treat their boys like still, tougher. Like, I mean, I can only go from personal experiences, and like, my sister even said to me, she goes, the dad, my brother-in-law, he treats his son a little tougher than his daughter, So I feel like already parents themselves have this sexist view on their kids. Oh, boys got to be tough. Girls have to be like this. And then on top of that, now society is doing this. It has been doing that for a long time. And it's more like promoting, oh, girls, she needs more. She needs more. Boys, oh, he doesn't need anything. He could handle it on his own. You know what I mean? Like, our society has done that. So to me, I'm not saying that because we're elevating women, that's bad, and that's why guys are doing worse, and we should ruin women and keep them down so that men can succeed. But I think that we're too focused on women and their general wellness, that we're not promoting young boys and helping them. And I think we're starting to see that. I mean, right? It's supposed to be equality, right? So schools should be 50-50. That's our country. So the fact that there's way more women in schools is an issue now that needs to be reversed. Otherwise, you're going to, in the next, 20, 30 years, I guarantee it's going to be like 80% women in schools and like 20% guys eventually. It's the pendulum swinging to that point.
But why do you think women...
Huh?
I was going to say, why do you think women why do you think it would become 80% women in schools?
Because I feel like... I feel like they're way more motivated, but based on the way society views men, and the way they're like, oh, you need to do better because men are going to hold you down if you don't succeed. So it's literally they're using men to elevate women. It's like, oh, you need to be better than the men. You can't depend on a man. Why do you think? I think this is one of the other reasons marriage is failing. Is because they want to. I don't need a man type of mentality. You don't hear a man say, I don't need a woman. Like, we should both need each other. I mean, that's what we were designed for. But our society pushes, I don't need a man. I've actually had women say to me, I actually dated a girl, who was like, oh, I just need a sperm. That's all she said. She's like, oh, I'm okay with being a single mom. She's like, she didn't even, like, literally, she's like dating guys. And she's like, oh, if I get knocked up, I'll be a single mom. I have no problem with it. Like, that's such an unhealthy mentality, It's literally saying that there's no such thing as, like, I don't need him, I just need his sperm, And then now society is saying, now also through biology and chemistry, like, you literally can take someone's skin and apparently make like sperm out of it, apparently. And then you can impregnate somebody. So it's like, you don't even need sperm anymore to make sperm.
But didn't you say earlier, though, that feminism emasculates men? Because now you said, but now you're saying that the problem with society is that men are told to toughen up and women are treated differently. Women are more coddled and encouraged. But you said earlier that men are emasculated. They're feminized.
Yeah, I think they want men to be softer. They want men to be more malleable, like women are. We're just built different. They want men to be fluid like women. Because if you think about it, how come the whole thing is what is a woman? How come it wasn't what is a man? Like, why is it always focused on what is a woman? You know what I mean? Like it's really weird. Like the focus is always on the female side of the gender. You know what I mean? And then so it's almost like, but when they're focusing on what is a woman, they want men to accept men who have transitioned into women as well.
Well, I think the reason that it was focused on women is because typically men who transition into women, transgender women, basically, are invading into women's spaces, and when they invade into women's spaces, the changes are the effects are, as viewed by a lot of people, are much more drastic than if a man transitions into than if a woman transitions into a man, when it's vice versa. And so that's why the focus was more on women, because it's specifically women's sports and women's bathrooms. And so that's why that was a focus to answer your question. But to give some pushback a little bit, why shouldn't men be more feminine?
What do you mean? I don't know. That's a tough question. I don't know. To me, women. Oh, well, you know why? All right, I'll tell you why. It's because women don't find feminine men attractive for the most part as well. So if we get pushback from the other percentage of women who is like, oh, men are too feminine, they're too weak. I mean, I don't know. I just think women want manly man. At the end of the day, I don't care which side you look at it. They want manly men, but then they want us to also be emotional. So you can only have one or the other, and you're never going to have that healthy medium. Like, you either want somebody tough, rugged, or you want somebody soft. But what it is they want they want to build this fake man. Honestly, we need to make a sex bot for women. I mean, we need a sex bot for women because women have this unrealistic expectations of what a man should be. So we need a guy who can literally lift 500 pounds, and who understands every part of her emotions and says yes to everything she says. Like, it's an unrealistic man. That's what women want. And society wants to build this unrealistic man. And they want this man to accept everything in society. Like, a woman a man became a woman. It's okay to have sex with them. You're not gay if you have sex with them. And then it's like, everything is I feel like attack on men.
I don't think
you must accept everything.
I don't think it's an attack on men. I think simply, again, it goes back to women being in the workplace. And before, if you look at human history, the number one reasons why women got married, they were considered property, first of all. But typically, women needed men because they needed them for protection and they needed them for finance. And so now we live in the modern times. Women don't need men for protection and women don't need men for an income. And so the onus is on men to provide something more than just protection and money. The onus is on men and that's why I asked earlier, why shouldn't men be more feminine? And so typically emotion is, for example, you typically associated with women. And so one of the biggest reasons why men commit suicide more than women isn't just because we work more, we have more stressful jobs. It's partly because men are just simply told that they should just hold their emotion in. They should be stoic and they should never let anyone know anything. And so our society is changing because of this, because women are getting more freedom. And if the reaction is, well, that's bad. Like, I feel like you're kind of saying that all these are negatively affecting men, but I feel like, to me, it's man up. Man up, become better. Provide more than just an income. You actually have to be a good person now. You actually have to be a decent human being aside from just being able to provide a paycheck.
You don't ever hear the thing woman up. Like, I mean, man up, like, that's just, I don't know, like, how much more can a man up? They want us to man down, honestly.
No, but that's what I'm saying, though, is that no, men are not manning up because the things that women need, you said it, like, why does a woman need a man now? Well, because she doesn't need him for protection. A woman can buy a gun, can learn how to use a gun. A woman can make money and can educate herself. And she doesn't even need a man to have children because she can just go to a sperm bank. And so men now have to provide more than just their sperm. They have to provide more than just a paycheck, and they provide more than just their brawn. Their muscles and their brawn. They actually now have to be they have to be interesting. You have to be somebody that actually goes to the gym and works out. You have to be somebody that has to make something yourself and succeed. Because just because you make money doesn't mean you're automatically going to get a girl. That doesn't make you desirable anymore just because you have a job, because the woman also has a job. And so to me, it's like, I feel like, the other side, the conservative red pill side, whatever you want to call it, I feel like they're constantly blaming women. It's like, oh, women this, women that. It's like women recently just got their rights. Women recently just entered the workforce. And all of a sudden, the world is changing. And all of a sudden, it's like they're all saying, oh, no, it's bad. It's bad. It's like, but why is it bad? Because you have to do more than just what you provided. You have to provide more than just a paycheck. You have to provide more than just, your muscle.
Well, like I said, our biology is different. So, I mean, if we want a society where you can't tell the difference between males and females, I mean, let's go for it. I mean, this is where it's heading. I think eventually, if you look in maybe 1,000 years, you're going to have men and women that just look alike. And then people are just going to be reproducing in like pods or something. They're going to be reproducing kids because nobody's going to even touch each other because there's going to be no attraction. I think that's where human society is going anyway. That we're all just going to look alike. You're not going to be able to know what a man is or a woman is. It's just like, and it's not going to even matter because, like I said, we can already reproduce without having sex. So sex is not going to be important. So it's just going to be beings walking around. I mean, I think that's the way we're headed. Because men and women have distinct roles and they have distinct behaviors and they have distinct characteristics that makes them completely different from each other, and we're trying to make them similar. You know what I mean?
I don't think we're trying to make them similar. I think socially and culturally we have changed because women have got rights, earned their rights. And so again, like I said, this is a relatively new concept within the last 100 years. This is something that we're still trying to work through as a species, trying to figure out how we can work together. And so I do think that if you just if you gave everybody equal opportunity, I think because of the biological differences, men will tend to go one way and women will tend to go one way. But as long as you give everyone equal opportunities to do what they want to do. And I do think that, again, I go back to, for example, like emotion, right? Emotion is always stereotypically associated with women, but yet men are just as emotional as women, except that we express it in different ways. Men will express it physically. Men will hit a table. Men will get into fights, whereas women will do character assassination. They'll basically talk shit behind somebody's back. And so both men and women are emotional. It's just expressed differently. But what I think, because women are in the workforce now, because women have their rights, I think the goal is basically to get to a point where men are able to express their femininity without being judged. That men are able to say, hey, you know what? It's okay for me to cry. Hey, you know what? It's okay for me to be emotional as long as it's, if it's justified. If I'm sad, if I'm depressed, that I go seek help, that I'm not just like this traditional stoic man that's just going to hold it all in. And that it's for the betterment of men. It's for the betterment of women because it improves their relationships. I mean, how many women, when I don't know how you were in your previous relationship, but if somebody comes to you and when you come to your girl, if you have a situation where it's very emotional for you, maybe a relative passed away, and if you're typically a stoic guy that you don't cry, when you go to your girl and you cry to her, I think for that girl, she probably feels really special. She probably feels really important that you are pouring your heart out. I'm not talking about a guy that cries every day, because he had a bad day at work, but I'm
showing your emotions to women. Dude, I'm telling you, for the most part, the more emotions a man shows, the less attracted a woman is to them.
I completely disagree. I think
no.
Yeah. You're stereotyping.
No,
I'm not talking about crying all the time.
Listen.
But that's how men.
So what does that mean? Women cry all the time, man. I don't know. Women cry a lot. So to me, men accept that. But I don't think a woman would ever accept a guy who was on a bad phase of crying. For a month he's really stressed and depressed. I think that would turn a woman off. There's no way there's a woman out there sitting there like, oh, he's just going through stuff for a month. I'm telling you now, she's probably getting fucked by somebody else if he was doing that.
I completely disagree. This is why men
are more understanding of. You know what it is? Men are more understanding of women's emotions, and I think women are less understanding of men's emotions, and they don't want to understand them. I think because our society is all about women getting attention and men not getting that attention. Men who want too much attention are always insulted, and looked down upon in our society. Women, again, that's the reason why OnlyFans exists, because women are always the ones seeking attention. That's why on Instagram you always have guys liking women, because our society is like, oh, like women, like women, like women. I mean, I've gone to raves and festivals, and and you can see if you go to raves and festivals, it's all about the women. If you really think about it, it's literally a culture where it's like, oh, we have a safe space for women, but it's not a safe space for men as much. It's like men have to actually. I think in the rave culture, it's almost like men are the outcasts, and we're trying to get affirmation from the women who, I guess, are at the center. I mean, you've gone to festivals with me. I mean, you see, it's like all about women. It's about it's like an emotional. I don't know. It's like almost like a cult. I don't know. I don't know. When we went, it just felt like it was like this cult, which is female run, and it's like men are like, trying to get attention from these women, and it's like they don't get anything because it promotes just women being happy and loving and all this other stuff, and then it's just like, oh, guys are on the outside, and if we like you, you can join in, but most of the time it's like, nope. You see more guys like roaming around individually, and you see more women in groups. You know what I mean? Because the guys are looking for groups to get into. I think, like, especially when you go solo, I've noticed like you have guys going in solo, you have women going in solo to these festivals. Men are less accepted into groups. Women are easily accepted. Every group accepts women. So again, it's just one example, but to me, it's like society is more hard on men than they are on women. Because like, oh, men can take it, man up. Like women, oh, let's coddle women. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the attitude that you're propagating earlier, where it's like, where you said that no, a woman will not respect you if you show your emotion. I mean, that's why you're propagating the very thing that you just said you're against. That you said that society's tougher on men. Well, because of men. Because of that attitude that men have, that like, no, your woman will not like you if you cry to her, because if you're emotional in front of her. If anything, I think that bonds people. I think when you have an emotional connection with someone, it doesn't matter if they're a man or woman. If you love someone and you went through something traumatic, you would want that person to be your rock. You would want that person that you can come home to them and depend on them. And so I feel like your attitude is actually, it's in direct contradiction it's you're part of that group that is castigating.
But dude, it's a big contradiction. I think our society and the way people are treated. That's why I'm not saying I approve of it or anything like that. I'm just stating how the contradiction works. Like, you know what I mean? Like there is a big contradiction, and our society is very hypocritical.
I don't think it's a contradiction. I think if you have a healthy relationship with someone and you're a relatively healthy human being with proper coping mechanisms, I think you should be able to talk to your significant other. You should be able to be emotional in front of them, as long as it's warranted. Again, I'm not talking about crying home every single day over the smallest thing. I'm talking about something traumatic happened to you. You should be able to go to your significant other, to your loved one, and have that conversation with them and cry in front of them. That should be fine. And that should be, if you're dating someone and they're going to break up with you because your father passed away, God forbid your mother passed away, and you're crying in front of them and they're going to break up with you, they're not worth it. I would not want to be with a person that's going to get rid of me because of that.
I'm talking more about society, though. I'm not just talking about individual people, though. Like you have a society telling people, or breeding men to think.
It's men telling other men that you shouldn't cry in front of your woman. So. Yes, I believe so. I really don't think women are going to hate. Because women are more emotionally in tune than men. I don't think if a man comes home and cries to his wife because his mother died, if that woman is a human being, is a decent human being, she's not going to be like, "Oh my God, I'm breaking up with you. Stop crying."
Hold on. So what's the benefit of men telling other men not to cry?
Because that's traditionally been the belief that men propagate, that you should be stoic, you shouldn't cry in front of your woman because your woman will leave you. It's men saying that, not women. I've never heard a woman say that. If anything, women will say that other women are too emotional.
But I think I think the way they behave can say that. I mean, this doesn't come out of thin air. I don't think that women are okay with their men being too emotional. Like, I don't think a woman would ever say, "I like an emotional man."
Nobody likes people that are too emotional. I'm not talking about emotional people. I'm talking about healthy human being going through a traumatic experience, going through a death, going through grieving. Again, you're taking an extreme example of somebody who's overdramatic. I don't like overdramatic men. I don't like overdramatic women. Nobody does. That's a negative character trait for both sexes.
But I think men deal with overdramatic women quite often. I think a lot of women are overdramatic. You don't think so? I would say on average, like, I don't know, from my dating experience, I would say like 60-70% of women are probably overdramatic.
Well, again, this goes back to, well, it all depends on what you mean by overdramatic. Typically, when people say overdramatic, they mean somebody who has no control of their emotions. And so studies have been done on this. And again, men and women experience emotions similarly. It's just that we express it differently. I mean, you'll go to a club, somebody will step on a guy's Pumas or their Air Jordans, and then they'll get into a fight over and kill each other and stab each other over it. That's emotion. It's just expressed in a physical manner. Men and women are both emotional creatures. We just express it differently. And yes, women typically, because women are not as aggressive and physical as men, they'll express it in words, they'll express it in verbal attacks, character assassination, whereas men, again, we'll just fight. We'll just stab each other and try to kill each other. They'll hit things, they'll, punch a wall. I mean, I'm sure you've done that at some point in your life, that you were so angry that, you hit a wall or you hit something.
So your argument is that so you think men are keeping men down? It's not women.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes. That's what I'm saying. I think because women are gaining rights, and now men are trying to find a way to blame women because they have to actually do something more than just provide income and provide quote unquote protection. Because women don't need those things anymore. Women don't even need a man for a baby. They can go to a sperm bank. And so it's like, me as a man, I have to be interesting. I have to be well-traveled. I have to be charming. I have to be more than just the paycheck to her. I have to actually work on myself before I can actually obtain, in order to be in a relationship with a woman. And I think that's fine. I'm up for the challenge. Challenge accepted. I think in this new society,
but men have always had to, though. Men have always had to build up to get a woman. That's never been something new.
Well, but earlier you complained about it. You said that we're constantly going after women. You complain about it when you're going, the raves that you point out.
I think the bar has been set too high. I think women. I think there's like 50-60% of women have to realize they're most likely going to date a guy who's making less money than them, and is not going to provide as much, because that's where the pendulum has swung, and that's the issue. And those women are not willing to do that. They'd rather stay single, or rather, not deal with a guy unless he's making way more money than her. So then that messes up the balance of our society.
Well, this is what I will disagree with you again. Also, I think eventually, if women end up becoming making more money than men, or if society gets to a point where it's pretty egalitarian, where both men and women pretty much make either the same amount, or women maybe make a little bit more, then yeah, I think women are going to have to accept that the majority of men are going to be making less than them, and that's going to be the onus on women to deal with that. Or the other option for them is to be single. Most women, 70% of women still expect the man to pay, but the pendulum is going to swing where women are making more money. So you're telling me guys are going to make less money, and now on first dates they're still expected to pay? Didn't you send me an article with a statistic where people are actually willing to split more?
Yeah,
because it's just
more women
expensive.
Are willing to.
I mean, they even say too. 80% of women say that they're okay. They're okay. Paying the bill. They're okay splitting the bill.
I don't know on
a first date. But again, I do agree. The majority of men still do pay on first dates, because we still do take on certain gender roles for sure that we as a society have clung on to. But again, as women have only started working within the last 100 years in our society, and as things change, as women become more educated, as more of them enter the workforce, as more of them make more money and become more successful financially than men, it's gonna have to change. Women are gonna have to accept that, yes, you will have to date a man who's probably going to make less than you. And they're gonna have to accept that. Otherwise, their other option, like I said, is to be single. And also, I'd like to add that what you were talking about, how it's really difficult for men to get into the social circle of women. Like, of course, because they're women. Just the biological nature of us, right? If you let a man into your social circle and your group of women, that man is, because he has so much more physical abilities than you. Of course, they're going to be more discerning. And as I mean, I feel like the things you're complaining about, that, men have to go after women, this has been going on since the beginning of time. Wars are fought over women. This men going after women has been true even before feminism, and it's always going to be true probably for the end of time. That's one thing that'll never change. Well, I can't say that, because in certain Nordic countries, the dating culture is actually that women will ask out the men, and it's no problem. I think in Iceland, it's like that. It's like there's no such thing as
Norway too, and Sweden.
Yeah, Norway too. So I can't say forever. Actually, I take that back. And so culture always changes. That's just the nature of it, I guess. I take back what I said. And so it'll change. Dude.
I see you're seeing it in the U.S. right now. Women complaining that guys don't come up to them and hit on them. They don't flirt with them. They're like, men are not. So it's like the men they want to hit on them aren't hitting on them. And the guys that they don't want those guys are pretty much depressed anyway in their parents' basement, so it doesn't matter.
But that's what I'm saying.
I was at a bar. I was at a bar last week, and I saw more women at the bar than men, which shocked me. I've never seen that in a college town. Yeah, because I live near one. I was like so shocked. When I used to go to college bars, you'd always see more men. Mm-hmm. Now I actually see more women at the college bars. Yeah.
Well, you know what it is. So, that's the fault of our culture. That's not the fault of women. That's just the fault of our society and where we're headed. And I think that's something that men should change. A lot of men play video games. That's becoming the norm. When I was growing up, I loved video games. I was a big gamer. And you're a loser if you played video games. And now it's become socially acceptable.
Back in the day, it was you were a loser.
You're square. Dude,
I never played video games.
Yeah. And then eventually it became mainstream. Now all the kids play video games. They watch all the streamers. The streamers are the new celebrities. Kids don't know, the typical Hollywood celebrities anymore. They know, if you ask the survey that was done with, thousands of elementary school kids, the number one profession they want to be is social media influencer. And so times are changing, man. We just have, I feel like men have to adapt to it. We have to get out of the basement, go work out. And we have to be more than just a paycheck, more than just, muscles. We have to be well traveled. We have to be charming. We have to it's okay. That's okay. That to me, it's like, that's fine.
I think men know how to be charming. I don't think men, it's not men not trying. I think there's just, we're not promoting boys to become men. I think that's the issue. I think we're just so hyper focused on women that I think men are being ignored. I think that's the biggest argument.
I think there are definitely sectors. I would agree with you. Certain sectors of society where men are the double standards that we always talk about. But again, there's always double standards on both sides, and we should fix all of it. I agree with you. I think the fact I said earlier, I feel like that toxicity is propagated not by women but by men. It's by men saying like, "No, you're a man. You shouldn't do that," or that's not women saying. That's men saying that to other men. And I don't think that's healthy. I think that's why I said earlier that's why I asked you what's wrong with being more feminine? If emotions are associated with femininity, it's okay for a man to cry in front of his woman. That shouldn't be a deal breaker. That's ridiculous if it's a deal breaker. If you just went through something traumatic and you can't talk about it with the person you married.
Personal stuff, yes, but our society, it's still, again, even women in the workplace. I work for a company where there's way more management that's female, and I'm telling you now, they all take on masculine traits. Like to be, a high-level CEO or high-level VP, you have to have masculine traits. And I don't see any feminine traits in management that I work with. All I see is masculine traits. So maybe in your personal life, feminine traits may be good. But at the end of the day, when you want to be successful in the workplace, for some reason, masculine traits are looked higher upon. Like complaining. People don't like people complaining in the workplace. They don't like sensitive, like, this person's too sensitive. I know they promote a lot of things for diversity and like other, aspects of like being understanding of other cultures. But in the bottom line, like, cause I work in corporate America, like as much as they say, oh yeah, let's be more soft. Let's make it easier. Let's make it more fun, etc., etc. At the end of the day, they're only promoting people with like more masculine qualities. I've worked with, honestly, having in the last 10 years worked in corporate, like more corporate, women are actually harder to deal with in higher level managers that are women are more difficult to deal with. Even women that I work with tell me that they'd rather have male managers because women in the workplace are tough and they're ruthless and they have these masculine traits that are over exaggerated. So
what do you think? What do you think are masculine traits that are needed, are necessary to succeed in the workplace?
It's like just hard work. Like I think masculinity is about working harder. Femininity is about being has less to do with work. I think masculinity is where it's like hard work and like just getting things done. I think feminine traits are more, I guess, more coddling, more, you know what I mean? Like, it's not about like, go get that money, you know what I mean? Or like, go get it done.
Well, again, so what you just described right there, I think is completely, is somewhat sexist. I think the fact it's that traditional idea of putting women in a certain category and putting men in a certain category. The fact that you consider somebody who's ambitious, somebody, what the number one indicator is to succeed is disagreeability. That when you go in the negotiating table, that when they say, oh, you're going to get X amount of money, you say, no, I'm worth more than that. And so when a woman does it, she's considered a complainer, she's considered a whiner, she's considered quote unquote tough to work with. When a man does it, no, he stands his ground, he's confident. And so it's this but that's what it is.
I don't agree with that.
You just said it right there. Hardworking is a masculine trait. Why is hardworking a masculine trait? So meaning to say that women can't be hardworking, that women shouldn't be hardworking. Like, why are we putting people in these boxes? Why are we putting gender? I feel like hard work can be achieved by both men and women. That's not a gender thing. I think that's like just being a human being thing. I think either a person is lazy or they're hardworking. I've known men that are lazy and I've known women that are lazy. I've known women that are hardworking. I've known men that are hardworking. I feel like it's a pretty 50-50 split.
Because it takes a lot of energy to do, to work 12, 14, 16 hours a day. It takes a lot of physical energy.
It does.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So to me, that's a masculine thing.
but
so for women it is. But I mean, like we have to accept it, right? Let me ask you something: are men stronger or women stronger physically? It's not sexist. Or men are designed to be stronger. We're more durable. Like it's just the way we're designed, dude. I wish we weren't designed this way. They should have just designed us exactly the same. I mean, I can't help how evolution or if you're a religious, God made us. It's just the way we're made.
I agree with you. I think if you took 100 men and 100 women, who's going to do more overtime? Who's going to work more hours? Yes, it's going to be men. We have testosterone. We're going to be more aggressive in nature, and we don't have to give birth. And so, by nature, men are going to end up working more. But I think again, it's about equal opportunity. A woman who wants to work more.
Women have equal opportunity, though. Women have equal opportunity.
But a woman who wants to work more, why is that? That shouldn't be against her.
No, it's not against her, but it's still a masculine trait she has. They consider it masculine. I mean, like if you're saying, a guy who's lazy, like everybody knows, a guy who's lazy, not working hard, they're going to make fun of that guy. He's feminine. He's not man enough, man up. But so why can't I say when a woman does too, like it works hard, she's got masculine traits?
If a man is lazy, I don't say, oh, he's acting like a woman. Like I feel like all the cool attributes.
But you tell him to man up. If you're manning up, you're being less woman.
No, no, it's not. The problem is that I feel like because of traditional masculinity, toxic masculinity, it's like all the cool stuff is associated with men, ambitious, hardworking, whereas all like the things that you associate are all negative things about women. It's like, women should be coddled. No. It's like, no, people should be free to live what they want to be.
They are being coddled in our society.
I don't think they're being coddled in our society. I think men are using women as a scapegoat for why they are where they are. Because they'd rather be in a basement playing video games rather than going out there and bettering themselves. And they complain that like, women don't want men. It's like, yeah, because women want more than just a guy with a paycheck and a guy who's, gonna quote unquote protect them. We don't live in that society anymore.
I don't know. When in society did we have men protecting women? I mean, like, unless we're going to war. I mean, when are you protecting women? Like, who are you protecting them from dangers on the streets? I mean, I don't know.
No, well, back in the day, in colonial times, the man was the one with the gun. The man was the one that had to go out there and work, and the woman was the one that stayed at home. And so for most of human society, men were the quote unquote protectors of the physical, actual protectors of women. If there was a war, men went to war, not women. But nowadays we're getting to a point where like now women are going to be in combat roles. Which, by the way, speaking of combat roles, like I think it's complete nonsense that women are meet less physical standards than men. I think that's nonsense. I think
there you go.
The standard should not change. I do agree. Yeah, I agree with you. There are certain things that need to change. And again, because this is relatively new, we're still navigating it. We're still trying to figure out what the right thing is.
I don't even understand why boots need to be. I don't even understand why boots need to be on the ground anyway. Right now, all you need is actually. You see again, gamers, man. Just put them in the front lines, play their video games. You don't even need a man or woman out there.
If I had it my way, all the world leaders should just fucking play a game of chess. And then they should decide everything. It's ridiculous that's a different topic though. Like war to me is so horrible and insane.
So my thing is like, again, it's I think we're coming to a point where yes, I think I agree. Guys need to man up, but I think the way our society perceives men and women, I think men are less motivated, and they like it's like. Risk and reward. If you think the risk is too high to get that reward, you're not going to do it. So men have just given up. They're just like, there's a lot of guys out there. I'm not saying it's right, but I just think, isn't it the whole point of society to better everybody? So if you're seeing that guys have given up, that means we need to work on programs to promote them to get better. So why are we telling guys to man up? How come we didn't tell women to woman up? And go get it. We made all these programs and women empowerment and all these like months and days and terminologies to promote them. I think that's what needs to be done for men too, because now it is the opposite pendulum has already swung and it's swinging, and we're seeing it little by little incrementally swing towards women. So again, guys aren't motivated, so let's motivate them. Let's get them going. So how come we're not focusing on those topics? You know what I mean? As much. I mean, I do see it a little bit, and I've seen a little uptick even on social media, but it's still not where it needs to be.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I think the reason that we historically, for the last 50, 60 years, have focused on helping women is because the women were the ones who are disadvantaged. For all of human history, they're disadvantaged. So it's okay.
But it's swung already. It's already swung.
I don't think so. It's already swung
really quickly.
Majority of world leaders are still men. Majority of CEOs are still men. The world is still typically run by men. And so, I mean, even again,
that's because those are motivated men. There's a lot more motivated men than women.
But you just said that men now are not motivated.
I'm talking about the top 0.1%. You know what I mean? You're talking about like the little, like the hyper aggressive, those men will never be. A woman will never outshine that little 0.1% of men. Like those are just like crazy hyper testosterone, manly, whatever you want to call it. It's just they're just really motivated for that. So these women have to compete with those guys.
I forget the terminology what it's called. Yeah, there's a term for it. So basically, on average, women are going to have higher IQ than men. But when you look at the extremes, men are the highest IQ are going to be men. And so I understand what you're saying, but I mean that
I think certain things are never going to change. Like I think the world leaders, I think unless we're literally like here, let's just put all women in there, which we've already been doing. Because like I said, I work for a corporate company where I've seen it myself, where it's they push women actually supporting women, which is fine. But we're starting to see the pendulum. Like I said, like as a man, especially as a white man, I see it as way more difficult to move up than per se somebody who's of color, or if it's a woman. They're definitely so, especially the big companies, like I don't know how to say it, but like it's like the top 10 or 20 companies that are like the biggest producers in our in the US.
Mm-hmm.
They're more hyper focused on moving up based on gender, based on sexuality, based on other diversity factors. I mean, and the funny part is the company I work for, if you're Asian, you're not diverse because we have too many in our company. So it's only Hispanic and blacks that get that privilege now.
Yeah. Like you're talking about diversity quotas.
Yeah. And dude, and we've even had we even have diversity where literally, if you're trans or gay, you get you have more opportunities, which is ironic that we're now basing diversity based on who you're fucking, or who you're attracted to. Like it's kind of or how you identify. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't think so. Again, traditionally our society, at least here in America, has been traditionally white. And so we try to account for it through certain like legislation, through certain work policies, which is diversity quotas. And I mean, that's the thing, right? Where do you draw the line? When is it, when is it is too much? And I think that's difficult to say because it is important to have diversity. I think
I agree.
I think equal outcomes. I think equal opportunity is what we should strive for, but equal outcomes, I think, can become tyrannical. And so, but that again, that's the problem. Is like where is too much? And like where do you draw
everybody wants equal outcome though, and that's when you start getting close to communism.
No, I agree. I'm against equal outcomes. I think equal outcomes is impossible, no matter what field you're in. I think it's impossible.
Not only that, where's the motivation? There's no motivation when there's equal outcome because then you're telling people working harder doesn't equate to more money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or more success. So then there's no reason to push harder.
If you just left men and women to their own devices, you look at, for example, nursing, right? Traditionally feminine field, feminine profession. If you let women and women have complete total equality, it's always going to be most likely majority women. Just because women are just more nurturing, women are more, in touch emotionally. It's just something that it's just a field that women will get into more than men, no matter how equal it's ever going to get. And so, I don't believe in equal outcomes. I agree with you on that completely. But with that said, I think I think, a lot of the issues that we as a society have with when men are left behind, I feel like these are not issues that have anything to do with feminism. Which goes back to your original premise that you think that feminism has gone too far, where you think it's harming men. I think the kind of mentality that harms men, the toxic femininity, I guess you would call it. I think that's relegated to the extremists on their side, just like the misogyny that occurs is really relegated to the extremists on the men's side. And I think
so. My problem is why are we letting these extremists? Because you know what it is? It's what is it about the extremes that's so sexy, that's so enticing, that makes our blood boil? You know what I mean?
Human beings are tribal by nature, and we like sensationalism. It's boring if you just say, "Oh, I just want everybody to have equal opportunity." I mean, that's a boring thing to say. It's better to say that, like, "Oh, the feminists, the feminazis, and all the misogynists, the men want to kill all the women, and they just want to put them in the house and take away their rights and take away the rights." That's more fun. And we're human beings.
That's why
we like entertainment.
The successful podcasts are the ones that are outrageous.
That are outrageous and crazy, not boring conversations like these that we're having. Yeah. I mean, that's what it is, man. It's what do they call it? Clickbait. That's the term for it. Clickbait. Yep. People like clickbait, and people don't like having the boring conversations where you actually have to dig deep and think and talk about the nuances. And so I guess that's my conclusion, is like, I disagree. I think there's definitely been negatives, just like with any movement. But I think overall it's been overwhelmingly net positive for women. And I think men have to do more. And the problems that men have,
positive for women, net negative for men.
But not because of women, not because of the negative women. I think it's just because of society, the culture.
It is. No, but come on. You're telling women look, men don't have a high bar for women. Women have a way higher bar for men. That's the issue.
And I think that's fine. What's wrong with a higher bar? Women will love a man more than a man loves a woman.
No, men love women way more than women would ever love a guy. That's not true.
You
think women love harder than men?
Yes.
No, when a man falls for a woman, he loves harder. I think when he falls for a woman,
but you just said the opposite. You just said that men have a low bar, have low standards.
No, men have a low bar for relationships.
Well, to fall in love, and women have a high bar, so women love more.
Yes. So if you have a higher bar, that means you don't love as hard.
What?
Because it takes way more for you to love. Yes.
No, that's a complete opposite.
If the bar is high, no, how's that possible? Hold on.
Wait.
If the bar is low, means that once you fall in love quicker, and you stay in your relationships longer. If somebody who has a higher bar means you're like, you always set the bar high, so if he's not meeting that bar, you just jump to the next guy. And also in our society, yes.
When a man falls, your perception is completely off. If a man's bar is low, basically it's like, well, as long as she looks good and she feeds me and fucks me, I love her. Whereas a woman, as
long as his basic needs are met, he loves her.
But that's less love. More love is a woman who actually doesn't.
No, it's
not. Wait, hold on. A woman who wants emotional support, who loves a man more than just for his dick, who loves a man because of what he represents, his moral values, the kind of father he's going to be. A woman who
guys love women for moral values too. Otherwise, we'd be dating OnlyFans. No,
but you just said that as long as she meets the basic needs, that's how guys fall in love. Just saying. That's not more love. That's less love.
No, it's not.
Yeah, yes, it is. If your bar is lower to fall in love, you're less love.
Listen. If you need less from someone to love them, that means that's more. If you need more to love someone, that's actually less.
What you just said makes no sense.
I'm telling you.
What you said makes no sense to me. If your standards are low, that means your capacity to love is extremely low. You have low standard for falling in love. Whereas a woman who has a higher standard, she needs more than just a dick to fall in love. That's like crazy.
That means
literally, if your woman grows old, if she stops having sex with you, if she's rendered incapable of some disability, God forbid, or some disease, all of a sudden you can't love her anymore. Whereas a woman, if God forbid something, that's what you're saying, because you're saying like as long as she meets the basic needs, she must love me more. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Listen. Once you marry somebody, it's till death do you part. That's the whole thing about marriage. Okay, so meaning in the beginning when you love each other, you get into the relationship, everything's going well. Shit happens along the way in life. That, I mean, through thick and thin, right? Women are the ones leaving relationships anyway at a higher pace. So
yeah, but we discussed this before in the earlier podcast. Is that just because women are initiating the divorce does not mean that they were the ones that broke the marriage? You look. I mean, I'm the perfect example.
No, I'm not
right?
saying that
I filed. Listen, I filed for divorce.
Well, listen,
I wasn't the one that broke the marriage. You filed for divorce. Did you file for divorce, or did your ex-wife file for divorce?
I filed for divorce.
Were you the one that broke the marriage?
No.
Exactly. So
right,
just because, again, that statistic is
wait, hold on. So then, based on that logic, if 80%, 90% of women are divorcing, then that means 90% of the men, 90% of divorces are the man's
20%. Fault. No, 20% the men filed it. What I'm saying is that you have to look deeper than just that number. You have to look at why are people getting divorced? What's the number one reason? Well, the number one reason is infidelity. And so who commits the most infidelity? At double the rate.
Dude,
men.
I'm curious, who are these guys fucking? Like, I mean, infidelity, like, who are they sleeping with?
Coworkers.
So there are women out there willing to sleep with a guy. So let me tell you something. Typically when a married man has sex, is usually having sex with a married woman. Okay? Especially in the workplace. Everybody's around the same age. So to me, it just means women are better at catching men than men are at catching women.
I don't think so. No.
How is that possible?
Because biologically, we're made to have sex.
Yeah, but you're having sex with somebody else. Most likely she's cheating too. So you're saying single women are fucking married men and they're okay with it. So then women are the problem. They're fucking married men.
No, men are more men, there's more men cheating, more married men cheating than there are married women cheating. It's not exactly double. I think it's like 18% compared to 10% men or something like. I don't remember the statistic, but men cheat more. And I believe that statistic. I mean, I look at my own personal experience, the stories that I've heard from my female friends. Now, granted, I didn't hear the guy side of the story, quote unquote, but I mean, I have no reason to, not believe them. Maybe they weren't the perfect partner.
Have you ever heard of anybody blame themselves in a breakup or a divorce?
We talked about this earlier. Everybody's innocent. I know. Everybody's innocent in every relationship.
Dude, I don't know. I admit when I make mistakes, but
not everything. You don't admit everything.
Dude,
we all hide
99% of people.
Everybody hides something.
Dude.
Nobody tells the truth exactly, and that's fine. We all tell white lies, I think. You want to make it's like going to a job interview. You're not going to tell them your worst qualities. You're going to give yourself the best presentation. You're going to wear a nice suit, and you're going to tell them you're hardworking and that you're adaptable and you're non-argumentative.
Dude,
you know that's life.
Maybe the first time I meet a woman who actually admits that she's the reason they divorced or broke up, that might be the actually wifey material.
Or you might not be. I always say this: just because someone is honest doesn't mean they're a good person. Just because someone's honest doesn't mean they're a good person. Maybe it's a character trait of theirs.
We're damned if we do. We're damned if we don't. There's no winning in this battle.
Battle of
men versus women.
I mean, this is a.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. This is for all the women out there. If men are angry at you, that means they love you. I'm sorry. If we're having these conversations, like women, like this is why I get so pissed off when I hear misogyny. Sorry, men don't hate you. If somebody's angry and passionate, that means they care. That's why they want to fight for it. They want to complain about it. Like if I was if complaining about women, I think I would be gay. I mean, that's the way I look at it. Like we're fighting to get women, and women are fighting to get men because there are women out there upset too that they have less access to men as well, or there's not enough qualified men. So I think at the end of the day, as much as we may complain about feminism, we may complain about the patriarchy, I think men and women are angry at each other because ultimately they want each other. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I think these conversations are good, even though we may disagree on certain levels. So I think women and men need to look at it as like, you know what? Hey, at least we're fighting for it, right? Even though we may not be heading in the right direction.
Or we may disagree. We're both fighting to fall in love.
Yeah.
Well, I think women too are victims of those, social traditions that the man has to make more money and the man has to be taller and the man has to be this. I think they're victims of that too. They're just like men are victims to staying at home, playing video games. And I think these are issues that both sides need to resolve. Both sides need to fix. And I don't think either side, like women can't help men get out of the basement and men can't help women accept that, hey, you might have to date a guy who's going to make less money than you, and that should be fine.
Well, hold on. You said, well, hold on. You see, this is another thing, which the double standard. So, women want to find a guy when he's at his peak. A man is willing to date a woman when she's not even, financially at her peak or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, this is where women need to start lowering their standards, because look, sometimes you may have to build up a guy. So, I mean, the whole term, women can't get a guy out of basement. Yes, you can. If she meets this guy and he's not at the place that he needs to be, and he meets her, she could motivate him to want to be more successful. Like in my experience, the healthiest, the most motivated, the most hardworking I ever been was when I was in a relationship, because it gave me a reason to work hard. I think these men are stuck in being single. If there were women out there willing to accept that there are guys out there not perfect, who they may have to be together, and then he'll eventually, you know what I mean? So women can motivate men to be better men. So I think women can help men get out of the basement too. It's not on one sex. It's just like women being empowered, men have to support women to get empowered. It's the same thing for men. Men need support from women so that they can be empowered. So these women who can't find the guys they're looking for, look, there may be a good guy that's stuck in the basement because he's depressed. He's got emotions he needs to deal with, and he needs a woman to share him with her, and maybe, their relationship will make him a better man. You know what I mean?
I think in any relationship, both sides have to bring each other up, sure. But I don't think the onus is on women to pull men out of the basement. I think that's a problem that men have to deal with. I think that the onus is on men to get out of the basement and do something with their lives. I don't think women should be coddling to them.
Oh,
there shouldn't be. I mean, that's
only women get coddled, like I said.
No, women have been. I mean, women have taken on the powers that were given to them. The rights have been given to them. They took it and they ran with it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Like, why? It either. Yeah. And most of them are not really happy. I don't know. As much as people want to talk about it, I think it's human nature. We want relationships. All these women saying, "I don't need a man. I can reproduce without one. I'm going to be a single mom." I mean, I don't know. I haven't met many happy single moms. I'll tell you that.
I think those women are in the extreme.
They all look miserable.
I think those women are in the extreme, and I think people that say those things, I think probably overwhelming majority of them are not happy inside within themselves. But I think that's extreme. I think most people. I mean, I always say this in our discussions is that if you look at men and women, and that's always my problem with a lot of the online debates, is that they make it so adversarial that it's like men versus women.
Yep.
In every relationship, everyone wants, for the most part, men and women both want the same thing. They want loyalty, they want love, they want honesty, and they want assurances that this person is going to stay with them for the long term. And I think both sexes, that's like 99% of what people want, both sexes. And we diverge on maybe one or two different things, 3 or 4 different things, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, anything you want to add?
No, I feel like I've beaten this.
We've beaten the horse.
Woman,
horse is dead.
Like she was a dead horse. I've beaten women like they were dead horses.
Yeah. We got one more topic?
No, dude, trust me. Anytime I give advice to my guy friends, I always tell them, as much as I just think both sexes can be better. I think everybody needs to be better. I don't think it's on one sex or the other sex. But I think we do need to have these conversations because it's necessary.
I agree. I think both sides. We should all, like I said, we should all bring each other up. And I think men and women are way more alike than they are different. We're all human beings at the end of the day.
But you know what? The sexiest part about being a man and a woman is that we're different. I mean,
true.
We complement each other.
That's true. I'd still rather be a man than a woman, though.
Well, that's because you're a man.
Exactly.
Let me say something. I don't think a woman. Do you think a woman would? Well, we need to do this survey. If you surveyed 100 women, how many women would say they would want to be a man?
True.
I don't think, dude. Everybody's happy with the way they are. I don't think.
Not
I mean, I don't know. Maybe we should do this survey. Now I'm curious. Would there be a higher percentage of women?
Dude, imagine if you're a woman, though. The consequences of having sex could be getting pregnant. I mean, I think in the last podcast you were like, motherhood is not. It's not a difficult job. I mean, and I thought about that.
It's not.
Dude.
Compared to other, no, it's not. It's not. Look, have 3 kids. I will stay home and I would take care of them till they're 18, and I guarantee I would be freaking happier than working at my corporate job.
All right. So what if men could
I would do it. I'd do it right now.
Let's do a hypothetical.
Give me a woman who makes $150,000.
Let's say you could do that, right? But let's say the technology was developed that the man would be the one that have to give birth, and that every time you gave birth, your penis would get smaller.
No. What are you talking about?
Dude, when a woman gets pregnant, that is a traumatic experience. Her body changes for the rest of her life. Some women can never lose the fat.
Most people have C-sections.
No, but even if you have C-sections, you have biological changes that are never going to be the same. Your stomach's never going to be the same. You're asking me to take on something I'm not designed for. Women are designed for that. But women are designed for that, but that doesn't mean that it's not traumatic to their bodies. Giving birth is a traumatic thing. I mean, before modern medicine, the number one cause of death for women was childbirth.
Yes, but dude,
it's a traumatic thing for the human body.
I did not make this biological system. It's the way it is.
But it is difficult. It's difficult for women. It's hard for women. It's dangerous for women every single time they give birth.
I think
postpartum depression. I mean, you talk about mental state. That changes, like so many changes happen to a woman. She has to give birth. She has to give breastfeed, and if she can't breastfeed, if she's working, she has to take a thing and have to, take milk out of her breast. Like, dude, imagine having to take milk out of your breast.
Dude, trust me, most women don't breastfeed. Like, in our society today, most women don't breastfeed or even pump anything out.
I gotta look at the statistics on that. I don't know about that.
No, the less they breastfeed, the quicker it dries up. So.
The quicker it dries up? What?
Yeah. Dude, there are women out there that are the crazy ones, in my opinion, that are breastfeeding at like 7 years old kids.
Oh, okay? the women that breastfeed for too long. Yeah. Oh, I got you.
Yeah, because you keep breastfeeding, and then it just your body keeps producing, thinking, oh, this is still a baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what do you call that? No, but what I'm saying is that it's difficult to be a mother. It's not an easy job to be a mother. Just giving birth alone makes permanent changes to your body that will affect you for the rest of your life, and you're putting yourself at risk. Taking care of a kid too. You're raising another human being, man. I think it was Ben Shapiro.
Dude, first of all, people are raising them wrong anyway. So this
shows you how difficult motherhood is. That's a testament to how hard it is. It's not that easy.
The father needs to be there too.
That's the problem.
They work and they're there.
Huh?
They're absent because our society promotes divorce and being single.
Well, that's not if the reason women divorce happens is typically because of men. That's not the women's problem. That's a man problem. Men have to be better.
Hey, there's two sides to a story, so we'll never know who's at fault because none of them will ever accept blame.
We're all innocent.
All the
post-divorcees are all innocent.
Dude, they're all innocent. It's all like prison. Like if you think about it, a divorce is like being in prison.
Yeah, it is.
Nobody's ever done anything. It's like,
nobody's ever done anything. What are you in here for? What'd you get divorced? It's her fault.
For all we know, we could be lying, right, about ours.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm honest with you guys. You guys are one of the few people that know my entire history. I feel like you need a social circle that you can trust and you can tell everything to. But of course, I guess there are certain things that your significant other that it's not necessary to reveal those things to them, especially if you're a different person now. I don't think that's lying.
I think we've beaten this one down.
Yeah, it's dead. It's dead. You got time for one more topic? We're going to bed. I think it's 12:30. It's pretty late.
Yeah, it's getting late.
That was a pretty good topic, though. That was good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like intense topics like these we can talk for forever. I'm gonna stop the recording so we don't waste our hours. Yeah, I'm gonna stop it so we don't.